Hey, what's up, everybody? Thanks for listening and welcome back to another episode of the Business Owners Freedom Formula Show, where we chat with inspiring entrepreneurs and dig into their highs, lows, and everything in between of their business building journey and learn about how they've been able to achieve ultimate freedom. In today's episode number 25, we have a great guest with us here today, and we are going to get rocking. We have Razor Matz. He's an energetic, kind-hearted, and passionate leader, both in his community and at home. He is a devoted husband, a fun-loving father of 3 children, a successful business owner, and a dedicated children's minister. Razor experienced early success with starting a landscape business when he was just 19 years old. He is a 3-time world champion with Team USA and a professional roller hockey player. Ray is a natural leader who likes to have fun and embraces opportunities for his life to be disrupted. Ray is also an author who loves to motivate and encourage husbands and fathers to lead, love, and live. He is fully alive in pursuing his passion to reach fathers and husbands through his professional one-on-one coaching at Game Changing Dads and also his public speaking career. So that is Razor Matz from Game Changing Dads. Welcome, Razor. Thank you so much for being here.
What an awesome introduction, Paul. That was great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for being here. For anybody that's watching the video, you can definitely see some hockey jerseys hanging in the background. So it looks like, are you still playing roller hockey today?
Not on the level I was. Let's see, I just turned 50 in February, so I had to dial things down a little bit. But I'm still very competitive still. So if there's an opportunity to play in a tournament, we actually run a local organization here, a nonprofit, where we get kids involved weekly to just come out and learn how to play hockey, which is pretty awesome. Very
cool. So with your introduction, obviously you've had a quite incredible journey starting at the age of 19 or even before then, with building businesses, impacting people, serving your community, and now, taking it to the next level, helping other people do the same. So give our listeners a little glimpse into how you got started on this entrepreneurial, journey in the first place.
Well, everything with my path, it all started in Philadelphia. I was born and raised in the hood, low income area, had some fantastic that I'm blessed to still have today, my great parents, and just watched as they just navigated through life. I mean, they were clawing and scratching at opportunities, whether it was jobs or businesses. So I was probably about 12, 13 years old when my father started his first, it was a supermarket business in Philadelphia. He was about 45 at the time. And just from having that example and watching my parents literally pull all the money together and not really knowing that much about business, I thought that was the coolest thing ever. Even though my parents came to the table with a lot of folks saying, you shouldn't do this, it's not the right area, it's not the right business, there was doubt all over the table. But my parents knew. They had 2 friends who were very successful in the industry, and they literally just went for it in their mid 40s and just rocked it. So that example early on, I mean, my mom said it. I was about 18 years old. I was working for a landscaping company, and she said, listen, you always want to do your own thing. It might not be the coolest thing for people that are kind of outside of that window, the non-entrepreneur, but she's like, when you do it, it is awesome.
So that's what inspired you. So you started working with the landscape company at 18. And then by 19, you said, I think I can do this on my own.
So at that time, my mom thought it was a great idea. Now I had responsibilities being a 19-year-old, right? Check this out. Here's where my responsibilities. I had a girlfriend. And I said to my mom, there's no way. And she's like, listen, let's write everything on paper. Let me show you what your current boss, and I worked for this guy for a summer, is actually making. And we just kind of rattled out some numbers, and it was almost like 10 times what I was getting paid per week. And I'm just like, she's like, listen, we're supportive. We'll back you. I know you love working outside. You've been doing it for years off and on. I had a little bit of a couple neighborhood customers that I was running since I was pretty young. So it was a big step. And like I said, that responsibility, my mom just kind of looked at me and was like, really? You're like 19. It's not like you're getting ready to, jump in the marriage bandwagon, but it was great. I mean, my mom, the way she explained it, she's like, number one, and I talked about this earlier, you're going to have a lot of people that are going to be doubting you because they don't have understanding. And they're going to say, hey, this probably isn't a good business. I went out and purchased a truck, an old used 1981 Chevy. And literally my 4 closest friends just laughed. I mean, laughed me right out of their house. It was unbelievable. And I remember going home to my mom. I was like, yeah, I told them what I was going to do. I was going to be a landscaper. It's exciting. It was fun. And she said, listen, you're going to have folks like that in your life. You just got to do your own thing, be your own man, follow people that are already in the game that have their own businesses. Your friends don't understand and they may never understand. And that's kind of, my mom launched me into that at 19 years old. It was awesome.
Wow. And I think you hit it. I mean, I think most entrepreneurs run into that when you try to explain what you know, to your friends who are working 9 to 5s or 9 to 7s or 8 to 8s, whatever their salaried career might be, they kind of look at you, you know, crazy. So how did that first business turn out for you? How long did you run it? You know, what kind of success did you have with it?
I ran it all the way up to 35 years old. I was the typical Robert Kiyosaki cash flow quadrant, self-employed employee, right? On that side of the quadrant. Didn't understand it at the time, but I thought it was cool that my father was never home, working a lot of hours, especially his own business, and really couldn't find any good management at that time. So I literally didn't even know it at the time. I followed in his footsteps. I'm self-employed, man. I'm out there 7 days a week, rocking it, making it happen. I think about 27, 28 years old. And I was actually doing some part-time tree climbing for the company because we actually broke it into landscaping and tree service. And I remember I was about 80, 90 feet up in an old oak tree. And the winds were kicking, man. And I'm just flowing back and forth, 10, 15 feet, all strapped in. I remember looking down going, what am I doing? Like, hello? Like, I fast forward. It's like, okay, can I do this at 40? Can I do it at 50? And you know what I did, Paul? I started looking around for the folks that were in landscaping, 50, 60 years old. I mean, you can see it, man. It's all over their face. I mean, they're just worn out, getting up every morning, same old, same old. And I said to myself, I said, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be something different. I mean, self-employed is, for me, it's not fun. Maybe for some other folks. But when you're running 40, 50, 60, 70 hours and having no clue, I mean, it's insane. One of the reasons I started Game Changing Dads, you talked about earlier, my website, is I want dads and fathers and husbands to understand life is too short. I mean, you can work and you can get all this money and be away from your family, but your family is so important. I missed my dad so much. Today, there's a little bit of a relationship, but that's all he knew was he was a great provider. I loved him for that. My mom was always home, which was great. Great provider, breadwinner, but man, the relationship I just missed. So at an early age, my wheels were always turning, going, okay, how can I create money but still be at home? And I didn't know what that looked like. I started reading, I started looking, and like I said, at 27 years old, swaying around the tree going, man, there's got to be a better way.
There is definitely a better way, and that's really what our show's really based on, is putting systems, processes, and then people in place so that your business can run without you. Because if your business needs you to survive, then it's really not a business. It's just a really stressful job. Like you said, you're working 7 days a week, because if you're not working, no money's coming in, and that's really not owning a business. So from swaying around in that tree, how are you able to make the shift to, you know, realize, obviously you made that realization, but then how did you actually put it in place of, I need to be home and still be able to make money, you know, because you do only have one life, you only have one family. And if you ruin it all by working 80 hours a week till you're 60, you're going to have a lot of regret. So how'd you make that switch?
Well, it's crazy at the time, because here's my story. I've been married for 11 years and I am 50 years old. So it took me 38 years to find my wife, and boom, I locked it in quick. I mean, we were engaged and married within 6 to 8 months. I knew right away. But it was funny, at 27, 28 years old, it was always in the back of my mind going, okay, you know, residual income, you know, business income. What's the difference between passive and being self-employed? Well, number one, the first book that was, I don't know if a friend recommended, or I might have actually seen Robert Kiyosaki at a conference in Philadelphia. and he talked about Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and he talked about the cash flow quadrant. Now, it's crazy enough, my parents had 3 rental properties at the time. I'm just watching my father work hard. Even on his rental properties, he was the guy fixing the toilets, collecting rent. He was doing everything. So early on, I had somewhat of a system going because I did purchase a duplex when I was 23 up in Philly. And I thought it was so cool that the people downstairs were giving me money. I would pay the mortgage and I would have extra money. And it was, I'm kind of one of these slow guys. It takes me, it took me 38 years to find my wife. Team USA, 27, 28 years old. Like, some people just don't get it. Maybe it's my lack of education, but oh well, it is what it is. This is what God's plan was for me. But like I said, looking back at that experience, I had the real estate until I read his book. And then he talks about, finding a pipeline where people can come in and actually do your plumbing. And I'm like, management companies. There's people out there that will do this. Now, my parents did it all.
Right.
Very successful to this day. My dad's old school. He works on a handshake. His lease for a house is a handshake. Yeah, a little scary for all the lawyers out there and business owners, but that's how I learned. So I had to make that shift going, okay, if I'm going to purchase multiple properties and have more, what's a manager look like? Why not have a Rolodex where I get the phone call, pass it to somebody else, and have that residual income, that monthly income over and over?
Well said. And if anybody out there hasn't read the book, Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I think that's really a game-changing, really just a perception and providing context into what you can do and how you can leverage your time and your education and your business and your money so you can build that, more or less passive income stream so you can be that game-changing dad that you're helping other people to be. So in your introduction, you said you also love disruption. So what's that all about?
Disruption. As my 10-year-old daughter would say it, I'm a life disruptor in a positive way. Because y'all can take that the wrong way. So I'm a big fan of the lazy river. Y'all been to the water parks. You have some great ones up in Raleigh. I love the water parks. I love the lazy river. But here's the deal. I'm 30 seconds in a lazy river. And for some reason, maybe it's my attitude on life. I need to be going the other way. I need the lifeguards blowing their whistle and saying, hey, you and your kids are going the wrong way, because you're going to be bumping, you're going to be hitting tubes, you're going to be hitting the walls. But when you start swimming upstream and everyone's going the other way, that's exactly what life is all about. It's not flowing down with all your friends and family just because, they made decisions to do this, you have to do the same. It's about getting criticized for starting a company, starting a business, getting into something crazy like real estate. Even my first piece of real estate, I had a friend going, are you crazy? Like, you're going to have to put up with tenants. I'm like, yeah, they're going to pay me. And they're like, kind of gave me that strange look, like they didn't understand, which is okay. But the life disruption, it's just, I'm a big fan of shaking things up. I don't want to be the guy at 90 years old that looks back and says, man, what did I miss out on? I want to be the guys taking chance. I want to be the father and dad taking chances, having my family along with the ride, whether it's successful, whether it's a learning experience, whether everything goes away. And we can talk about that 2008 situation with some real estate, but it's just all about shaking things up. I wake up in the morning, I'm just super excited. I have a 3-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 10-year-old. I'm a life disruptor. I'm 50 years old, man. I'm just pushing it now. But
You're just getting started.
Absolutely.
No, I think your point that when you do get to 90 and you look back, you don't want to regret the things you didn't do, and think to yourself, what could have happened if I took that chance? And I think a lot of people get scared off by failing, but you kind of hit right on it perfectly, that when you do fail, you're actually learning, and then that's an opportunity to improve and, figure it out in an even better way then. So anybody out there, definitely take that to heart, because at the end of the day, what other people think isn't that relevant as long as you believe in it and your family believes in it. So you hit on the real estate in 2008. That was probably soon after you were done with your business, around 35. So what did you do after 35? Was it all real estate once you're done landscape business?
It was. I had a pretty cool property when I had the landscaping company. in Northeast Philadelphia. I had a realtor come to me and say, hey, listen, I can literally double your money with this piece of property. And I was 34, 35 at the time, looking at a piece of property. I literally, a year before that, just put in a roller hockey rink in the backyard. So I was also single. Now, Robert Kiyosaki, one of his favorite things he talks about, being emotionally involved in a transaction. And I remember reading that over and over and going, I can double my money. I can go out to Las Vegas, had a friend out there who was doing some investing, and just have a blast. Or I can just do the same old thing, enjoy the hockey rink and maybe not get to that next level. I said to the realtor friend, I'm like, if you can double, game on. Whatever it looks like. I said, hey, I'm 34, 35. I'll be homeless. I didn't have a place to live. Literally 2 days after the fact, she put the sign on the property. It was gone. Now talk about life disruption. You got a sweet property. You're hooked up. You're single. Couple acres, hockey rink. Hello. What am I thinking?
That was your jam.
That was my jam. Exactly.
So what'd you do after that?
So from there, I just got a lot of that money. I went down to Biloxi, Mississippi, dumped some money down there, and most of it was in Las Vegas. I met a good friend out there through a webinar, and we just hit it off. And she was an investor at the time, and we just started loading up out in Vegas. We did rentals, we did new construction, we did a little bit of everything.
And then 08 came.
Hello, man. Well, what's cool? I mean, I tell people, hopefully this is going to be a positive story, because so many folks that went out there literally have not touched business or real estate since. I mean, it's like, boom, I'm not going there again. But here's the deal. I lost so much stinking money. I'll admit it. It was awesome and fun, because here's the deal. I was in the game. I was out there. You can look back at situation going, oh, I saw it from afar. But man, I was right in it. I started getting into bigger properties. I mean, they went from $250,000 homes to, million and a half condos. We're building out for a couple years. Well, once 08 locked up, all the builders had a bunch of issues because their cash flow and then loans stopped. It was insane. I've never seen so much money disappear in such a short time. And this was probably a year or two into marriage. So I have a 1-year-old. I'm liquidating. I'm panicking. I'm being emotional. I have a family to worry about now. That was pretty crazy. But I look back, people are going to have their highs and lows. If you learn from your valleys, you're good to go, but you don't want to dwell. I remember getting hit pretty hard. I remember sitting down for about an hour and just having a conversation with myself going, okay, I can be done. I can go out and get a job. I've never had to do that, thank God. But why don't I just keep going? Why don't I go build something else, build a new business, start over at 39, 40 years old? And that's exactly what I did 10, 11 years ago. Very
cool. Very inspirational. I think that's, you learn from it. It's a story to tell. You were in it. And now, like you said, let's go build something else and figure out what didn't work. And, let's not make that mistake again. And then let's do it even better. So for anybody out there that is, afraid of failure, Ray is proof that you will come out on the other side just fine. So kind of fast forwarding now into Game Changing Dads, how did you kind of get into working with fathers and kind of focusing on, working with husbands and that kind of thing? How did that come to be?
Well, my story starts with my father missing my dad. Missing that link is huge. I mean, there's still, a part of my heart that I wish I had a great relationship with. But when my wife, came to the game, her father-in-law filled in a big spot, where a father figure was needed. So I was definitely blessed in that aspect. And it just came where, after the Team USA, I was coaching and teaching all over the world for almost 15, 20 years with USA clinics. So I had the experience coaching, of course, in a different realm. Started a vending company. And through that vending company 10 years ago, right after the real estate crash, had an opportunity to meet Aaron Walker. Big A.
Big A.
Big A. There you go. And it literally was like, hey, you should get into a mastermind. I had no clue what a mastermind is. I didn't really have a coach. Of course, I was reading books, so I was being coached from an outside source. Aaron Walker, the first 15 minutes of his, my first hour with this mastermind, and he asked kind of a question. He's like, what are you looking to do? What are you looking to accomplish? And I wasn't being mean, and I hope I came across, because we did chuckle a couple of months down the road when I talked about this, and I asked him if I offended him at all. And I'm watching him across this, and we're on Zoom, man. We're looking at each other, and I'm like, buddy, I want to be you. I mean, I finally, all of a sudden, at 50 years old, you wish it would have happened earlier, but 50 years old, I'm like, that's cool. I've been coaching. I've been in kids ministry. I think I'm decent at guiding people. I'm a great leader in the family, and I'm saying to myself, dude, this is awesome. I want to be exactly where you are sitting. What do I do? He introduced me to Dan Miller, 48 Days to Work You Love, got into that book. And then I got my niche, love working with men, love working with fathers, and just having that family nucleus and finding a true balance in life. And I think a lot of us, even early on, if I would have got married in my 20s and 30s, I was so focused on business and money. I don't know how long that relationship would have lasted.
Very cool. Very good story. And yes, Big A was on the show previously. Great guy, great mentor, great leader. Really does put everything into perspective. And, I think even just watching his daily Facebook Lives, I think he just has a lot of good insight to, get you where you want to go. So anybody else out there, will definitely link up Big A's stuff. If you didn't listen to the episode, very good guy, very good inspirational stuff to, be a leader and that kind of stuff. So now we're looking at Game Changing Dads. You're helping, these guys, husbands, become leaders, and building kind of that life of love and living everything that they want to do. What's your normal day like? Obviously, if you're teaching other people to do this, you've got to be one doing the same. So what is the normal day in the life of Razor these days?
Do you need honesty here, bud, or what?
Yes, honesty. Fire away. I want to hear it all.
I just got done a bunch of laundry. So my wife is actually working from home. She decided a couple of months back to get into something from the home, which has been great. We have a 3-year-old. So
awesome.
Watching a 3-year-old who hopefully will not barge in that door behind me. Fingers crossed, but we have it all locked on lockdown. Basic morning. I got 2 elementary kids, get them off to school. We're about a 2-minute walk to the beach, which is awesome. I love my beach walks. Family stuff, reaching out to folks on Facebook, keeping in contact with my folks that are in my mastermind groups currently, and if not, reaching out to coaching clients right now. That's pretty much, it's a very flexible schedule, which is awesome. Unless I have something like this, an appointment or a mastermind scheduled usually I do that in the evening after the kids are down. Very cool. Very exciting. So,
obviously our show is all about freedom and kind of building your life around, using your business to build a life that you love and not kind of doing what you were from 19 to 35 or running yourself ragged. So how do you ensure that you maintain your ideal freedom with family, friends, ministry, coaching, all that? What is a good insight for our listeners to maintain that, that not necessarily balance, because I think balance can sometimes be used, out of context, but how do you maintain serving all those people as well as serving yourself?
Wow. That's a super, super loaded question.
60 seconds or less. What do you got?
I know. Here we go. I guess, just, you got to follow your heart with a lot of stuff. I knew back when I was running a company at that time, if I had a relationship going, it wasn't lasting because I didn't have the time. But I always follow my heart. Your heart will tell you if, hey, it's time to spend time with the kids, time to get the date night rolling. Whatever that may look like, serving others is huge. That's a big portion of our life, especially through church and, community events also. But just finding that balance. And like I said, it's the heart thing. Sometimes, especially as men, I grew up, you do whatever you do, you get kicked in the teeth. I lost all my teeth or my front teeth at, 32 years old. You just get up and go. There's no emotion. And when I started getting about 40 and I had a family, I started stopping and going, okay, money's awesome, but what's more important? Family's more important. Relationships, building. It's the leaning over the wrong way when you're following corporate America, which there's nothing wrong, but you set up a family, you found your wife, there's got to be an investment there first before you pursue everything else. Because if not, everything's whacked and everything's backwards.
Well said. Definitely understand and agree there. And you also have a podcast as well, right?
I do, called Game Changing Dads. You can check us out on iTunes under Ray Matz or Game Changing Dads.
Very cool. So definitely staying busy, definitely providing a lot of value. So for any guys out there, I would definitely recommend checking out what Razor. And quick hit on that. How did you come up with the name Razor? Where did that evolve from?
18 years old, had an opportunity to play junior A hockey up in Canada for some reason. Right around playoff time, coach comes in and says, Razor, you're on first line, or whatever he said. And I'm like, Razor, that's kind of crazy. A year later, Razor's Landscaping was born.
There you go.
and actually, believe it or not, my middle is a boy, and his name is Razor.
Very cool.
Now, that was after the scooter deal, FYI.
After the scooter deal. Awesome. So what are the future plans for Razor and the family and the mastermind and the business?
Right now, I love what I do in kids ministry. I love giving back to fathers. I like to just kind of get in there, disrupt some dads, some fathers and husbands, and really, really get them to realize what life's all about. Like I said, sometimes we miss it. I know back in the day with hockey and business, I would have missed it. But just to give back the best I can is the ultimate goal. I'm right in the middle of writing a book. I'm about a month away from Game Changing Dads. And that's kind of crazy because if you think about, and I guess I'm telling your audience this too, don't let anything hold you back. I barely got out of high school. One of my best days of my life is when I graduated high school. I said, Mom, I'm done. I'm looking out the window going, man, I could be doing this. I could be doing that. Never went back to college. I did go to college for a quarter, didn't make the hockey, or a semester, didn't make the hockey team, and I went to Canada.
You were done. No, I think that is really good. It's everybody finds their own path, and it doesn't matter, how you get there, what you did to do it. And I think the key is doing what you love. And like you said, following your heart, kind of what you do every day. And really excited to see that book come out and continue to see what is going on in the life of Razor and Game Changing Dad. So thank you, so much for providing all that value to our listeners out there. But as you know, all good things do come to an end. We are all about freedom on the show, so we don't want to take up too much more of your time. I know the clock is ticking if that door barges in with a 3-year-old going bananas. So we want to make sure that we, respect your time as well as our listeners' time so we can continue on with their day. But it is time for our rapid recommendations for all things related to systems, automation, and freedom. So I've got 6 topics here. I'm going to give you one at a time. You're going to give our listeners something to check out or inspire them related to that topic. So the first thing is one book that you would recommend our listeners go check out today.
We're going back to Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Awesome book, even though hopefully they've been upgrading it a little bit.
I love it. And even if it's not upgraded, it's still one of the best books out there. What about one quote that you like to live by?
One quote. Let's see. I think it's in Philippians. We'll go, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
There you go. Well said. What about one tool that you like to use on a regular basis?
I am old school with the tools, 50 years old. The old school to-do list. You can have an app, don't get me wrong, but when you're writing stuff on a yellow pad of paper with red marker, because it's important, that's where things change. Yes.
Very cool. Don't forget where you came from with the old school pen and paper. What about one podcast that you like to listen to on a regular basis?
One podcast, and his book changed my life, was Dan Miller, 48 Days to the Work You Love.
Awesome. Love it. What about one community, whether it's in-person community, local community, or online community that you like to hang out in?
I would say Aaron Walker. He's got a great online community. I was involved in his mastermind for almost a year, and he provides some awesome value for everybody.
Excellent. Totally agree. Any listeners out there, if you haven't checked out Big A, Aaron Walker, we'll definitely link it up in the show notes on our website. And then lastly, one parting piece of advice for any business owner out there who is stuck, burned out, or just trying to get over the hump.
Never, ever, ever give up. Whatever the situation is, I don't want to say been there, done that, but man, you can get through it, find the right people, get the right mentors, and just make it happen. We're all going to flatline somewhere in life, whether it's in a business or at a job, but keep going, even though the road is rocky.
The road is definitely rocky, and if it wasn't rocky, there'd be a lot more people doing it. And the reason for that is I think you reap the rewards at the end if you stick with it and persistent. So well said, Razor Matz. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to impart some of your knowledge, wisdom, and enthusiasm to our community. Hopefully this helps everyone out there get one step closer to achieving ultimate freedom in their business and in life. But before we sign off, where can our listeners go to keep in touch with you?
You can go to Game Changing Dads, that's DADS.com. We have listed all the mastermind information, podcast, and if you want to contact us and ask some questions, that would be fantastic too. Or look us up on Facebook under Ray Matz or Raymond Matz.
Awesome. We will definitely link all that up in our show notes at paulmaskill.com. Was at the website earlier today. A lot of great value, a lot of great insight, a lot of good inspiration for any dads out there. Or I think one of your most recent podcasts was saying this is for the women as well. You can use that information as well, just for your family. So Ray, thank you again for hanging out with us today.
Paul, my pleasure. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Everybody else out there, stay tuned for next week's episode as we dive into another fantastic interview with Daniel Walton from Cast Market. And if you like what you're hearing or you don't like what you're hearing, we'd always appreciate a review, subscribe, and share with your friends. If you don't like what you're hearing, just let us know. I tell all of the people I work with, negative reviews are just as well because they do help your business move forward. So if you don't like what you're hearing, give us your insight. If you love what you're hearing, definitely appreciate a review or share with your friends. So don't forget, you can join our free Facebook group at bizfreedomformula.com. Head on over there. It'll forward you to our free Facebook group where you can continue the conversation with like-minded entrepreneurs who are listening to the show and putting plans in place to work less, make more, while increasing the value of their business and achieving ultimate freedom. So until next time, keep rocking, trust the process, and talk to you soon.